Wow. Oh, can you feel the energy? Oh, man. My name is Marjorie Ray, and I am a practitioner here at Seal Beach and also the chair of the Leadership Council. And we are a welcoming, loving, all-inclusive sanctuary where everyone is welcome. And we're so glad you all came today. We have an interim minister who's with us one weekend out of the month. He'll be here next week. He's not here today. But he's going to come into us by Zoom and do his welcome as well. So I'm going to ask John back there to cue up the John video.
Good morning, Seal Beach. I'm so excited to be here to help kick off the Adventures in Faith. You can see I'm wearing my purple shirt. That's the color for today. This is a great opportunity to express our faith in an area that we need some practice in terms of diversity and inclusivity. I'm really proud of the collaboration teams that have put together this awesome curriculum and all the logistics involved. I'm especially happy that we're come together as communities to take this move to the next level of our self-expression. Special thanks to the collaboration teams for putting this all together, and to reach out to Reverend Bobby and thank her for her brilliant inspiration, her guidance, and her wisdom, and her generous heart and her patience for us all. I feel that Ernest Holmes would be very excited about this initiative, and he would be saying that this is being open at the top. That is, this idea of intentional inclusivity is the next most important step in the evolution of consciousness, step that we all need to take if we're going to grow our communities. So thank you again. I would say be kind, be brave, and be strong in your faith. And so it is.
I just want to say that our theme this month is Where Many Are One. And it is so visible today here as we gather together. And so I invite you to just turn to a neighbor and say, I'm glad you're here. All right. I knew once I turned you loose, it would be hard to get you back together. Everybody, let's sit back down. Yep. All right. Now, our congregational song as we come together, and isn't that what we're doing right here today? So our congregational song is, and notice that we have Tina from Seal Beach, Kong and Des from Namaste. So take it away, team. We come together. We got the words, Don? Let's wait for the words. The words are coming. The words are coming. I know they are. Okay, well, there we go.
Sing along now, everybody. Take a look at the person next to you. Go ahead. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Oh. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Next to you, say God loves me and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Beach and Namaste coming together. What do you say? Take a look at the person next to you. Say Namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Oh, now lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. In the name of love. In the name of love.
I don't know about you, but I'm vibrating with the love. It's just, oh, so, love it, love it, love it. And we start our service usually with reading our mission statement. And so I'm going to ask John to put that mission statement up, and you're going to find it's very similar. The words are different, the meaning is the same. So let's say it together. We are a loving spiritual sanctuary where everyone is welcome. We celebrate the abundance of life through service, inspiration, gratitude, and service. With open hearts and minds, we participate in self-transformation for a world that works for everyone. I love that last statement. A world that works for everyone, and we're talking about where many are one. I mean, it just fills me. Today we have, as I've said before, Kong, Tina, and Des as our musicians. We have two practitioners. We have Carolyn Perini from Seal Beach and Jesse, and I've forgotten your last name. Keeler. There you go, had it. And Reverend Bobby is going to be our speaker. And we have come together to launch this auspicious study group that's working together between two different centers that are all the same. And I don't think this has ever been done before. And I just want to give a big thank you to Pam and Susan, who managed to put all those groups together from the signups. It was and then another big thank you for Janice, who put together the sign-up for the big party, November 6th, save the date. And, well, I will tell you that November 6th, we're going to have honey baked ham, Colonel Sanders chicken, and mac and cheese. And then all the rest of it, we're going to potluck with all of you. So salads and side dishes, you can sign up. And when you sign up, there's a little paper that you can take and write down what you signed up for. So you remember, I sometimes forget what I signed up for. So sign up, take your own little piece of paper, put it somewhere safe so you know what you're bringing on November 6th. And on November 6th, Seal Beach is not going to have a service here. We are going to go to Namaste and have that party. So to me, this feels like a party. And so we're starting with the party and ending with the party. So we do have the group set up, but we are open today. If you haven't signed up, we are reading Stained Glass Spirit, and we have a curriculum. And even if you're not signed up for a class, we have the workbook that we've printed out that you can pick up so you can follow along, because all of our services are going to be geared to what the study groups are studying. So if you want to sign up, today is definitely the last day. And Pam and I think Sue will be back there to kind of juggle things around as necessary. The groups are between 8 and 10 people. I think we have 3 that are Zoom and another 3 or 4 that are in person. So do sign up if you haven't. This is just such a, Seal Beach has been asking, when can we collaborate and start meeting with socially? And this is it, gang. This is our big collaboration where we are mixing and mingling, and we're all the same philosophy. We're all one, where many are one. You're our brothers and sisters. And so we have an opportunity to really get to know one another. And I think that's just absolutely stupendous. Now, we have one other announcement. Carl has a dock party, probably about once a month. And this month it's on the 15th. Since it gets dark so early, he's starting it at 5 instead of 4. It is at Dock 22, Slip 20. 4 instead of 5. What did I say? 5 instead. Thank you. Got to keep me on track here. Yep, okay. 4 instead of 5. I had it written in front of me. Yeah. Okay. And there are no chairs, so bring your own chair. And if they have a potluck kind of thing, if you want food, bring food. And there will be entertainment from the Deuce Coop, a couple of people from Seal Beach that love jamming together. So more information is back on the sign-in table where you got your name tags. There are flyers. If you're interested, it gives you all the details on how to do that. So now I'm going to take a deep breath with all this activity, because we're going to go into our sacred time. So I invite you to just take a deep breath and allow yourself to just sink into that center where I'm conscious of that divine presence that indwells me, where I'm conscious of the love and the peace that is here now. Take another deep breath, and we will relax with a bell, and then Kong is going to sing The Face of God.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I
Good morning. Face of God, voice of God. I'm Jesse Keeler, and I'm here with Carol Ann. We're licensed to pray through the Centers for Spiritual Living. So, in the early days of the United States, people fanned out across this continent. And when they reached an area that was already occupied by people, the ancestors of the Kiowa, the Tukudika, the Nez Prince, the Blackfeet, they saw a land that was so magnificent that they realized that we can't exploit this for profit. We need to preserve this for our children and our children's children and for generations to come. And they called it Yellowstone, and it became our first national park. So tell me something about yourself, Yellowstone.
Thank you for asking, Jesse. It's great to be here with you and all of you. We are magnificent in Yellowstone. We have tall, towering mountains, large, rushing rivers, geysers. Old Faithful, you've named one of our geysers. Old Faithful is there. There are vast grasslands and hills and valleys, and there is wildlife of every kind that you can imagine. There's deer and elk, and there's little mice and fish.
So tell me something, Yellowstone. When you became a national park, did that change you somehow?
It didn't change us. No, we were the same for quite some time.
How did the people treat you?
Well, at first they were lovely. They were so happy to be there, so happy to see the riches in our lands and to share that and to enjoy us.
But then it sounds like something happened. What happened?
Well, the humans got this idea that they should take the wolves away.
Why did they want to take the wolves away?
Well, the cattle, some ranchers had their cattle on the lands, which was perfectly fine, but the wolves were hungry, and so they saw the cattle as easy prey, and they went after them.
Well, that makes sense. So what you're telling me is they got rid of the wolves?
They did. They got rid of the wolves. They took all the wolves away.
But Yellowstone, they're wolves. They're just one animal. Why did it matter that they got rid of the wolves?
Because they were part of us. We're one. We were whole. We were complete. We needed them as much as they needed us.
So what you're telling me, Yellowstone, is that nothing goes to waste in nature.
Nothing goes to waste in nature.
So did they bring the wolves back?
Yes, after a while, what began to happen is that the deer grew in numbers beyond their ability to manage. And they tried various techniques to thin the herds out, but it just didn't happen, and they mowed all the land, all the grasses down to the point where when the rivers would overflow, it would just erode the banks of the river. And then the trees had difficulty taking root because the root systems weren't holding the water that they needed. And the beavers couldn't build their dams, and there were no places for breeding.
So wait a minute, Yellowstone, you're telling me that by bringing back the wolves, it transformed it?
Entirely.
So it brought you back to a natural state?
It brought us back to a natural state because the wolves made sure that the herds of deer were thin enough, and they didn't mow the grasses so low any longer, and the root systems could hold the water, and then the beavers were able to cut down the aspen and make their dams, and then there were, can you see my excitement? We were so happy to have them back. We were in balance once again.
So Yellowstone, what I hear you saying is that the multiplicity, the diversity is essential in nature. Is that true?
Jesse, you asked me Yellowstone as though I were one. My oneness encompasses all. We are one. And without one, we're out of balance. And nature has divinely created all of us.
So what would be the lesson if you were to give us to our human community here, Yellowstone, from what you're telling us, what would you say to us?
We need everyone in order to maintain a balance. Each of us are divinely created by the one life, the one mind. And so, in order for us to be one, everyone belongs.
Thank you, Yellowstone. And if everyone could right now just take that in and just go within yourself with the idea that diversity is a divine principle. Just breathe that into your whole being, that diversity is a divine principle. Nothing is superfluous. Everything that divinity has created is essential. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. So good to see you. All of you. I don't know, I got distracted. I just now got back from Yellowstone. I don't know where you were in the last few minutes. And then I'm still thinking about the potluck. You're not?
I'm mostly thinking about that spiral hand.
That's what I was thinking, like the honey baked ham. I can remember the whole thing. Fried chicken and mac and cheese. Missing. What is it? Really, it's a pleasure to be back. So lucky to be here on this day, celebrating these two communities together, because I've been at both of them, and so it's just a joy to see everybody together. Super excited to play with these two.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. This one I can't even look at. You with the sad eyes. Don't be discouraged or If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all that you can bear, you call me up, 'cause you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining,
Shining through.
I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow. You know, sometimes things happen in the world where we actually see a different kind of true colors. Or that's what we say. Oh, that person showed me their true colors. Now I'm going away. And I like the word rainbow in this song because all we know about is all the different colors in the rainbow that kind of go together, yeah? All of me is God. And then there's all of me that's human. And I really prefer to practice embracing all the colors of the rainbow and all the colors of you. There is no good, bad, right, or wrong. Not when I stand in the wholeness of me and you. So, you'll sing with me and sing to each other and recognize the true colors that we all hold in here today, and then holding a space for the people that are watching online, holding a space for the people outside this center, and holding a space for the people of the world, regardless of what we think their true colors are, yeah? And to see your true colors shining through, I'll see your true colors, 'cause that's why I love you. Don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
Did it again. I just am so joy-filled that you get to meet my friends. Right? You ever have that kind of, when you're hanging out with folks and you say, oh, you have to meet my friend. You have to meet the amazing people in my life. And it's like what we did is we brought all our favorite people in life together in a space. And how beautiful is that? Right? I'm really grateful, excited, and nervous to do this. And I'm sure about 8 other feelings. And I am because, you know, in my life, I would say the beginnings of my life, I grew up in a faith that was pretty conservative. And I say that because I was incredibly judgmental. And as I walked through that sort of space of being pretty judgmental, as the universe would have it, it handed me a 2x4. And the 2x4 was that I ended up coming out as being gay. Now you might say, well, what does that mean? And it wasn't that the universe was punishing me. I don't believe that's what it is. But the 2x4 was really how I saw life and how I saw people. And one of the things that happened is I judged a lot of my siblings pretty harshly without realizing it. And I imagine when I came out, there was this kind of, yay, she fell off her pedestal. Right? And I really wanted them to see the pain I was going through. And honestly, I don't know that they could because I had judged. And so it was kind of a healing had to happen before that space and place of grace could find its way. The truth is, we don't know what we don't know. And when we come together in spiritual community, as much as I love to just deliver these inspiring, pretty fun messages, there are times we have to deliver messages that are kind of weaved within them, weaved a message of, let's pay attention. Let's step into another place of awareness because what I have known may not be accurate or true. And we do the best we can with what we know, don't we? So over the past few weeks, I have been emotional and tearful, and AIF has certainly contributed to it. But some of my own events where I've walked through with friends and family have been held up by some lessons that showed up for me. There were 3 things that I've kind of walked through as in coming to understand that 1, diversity isn't diversity without inclusion, and they are very different. Diversity is the manifest form, and inclusion is the action I take. 2 very different things. And I can speak of diversity, but unless I act inclusively and become conscious of the way that I think and behave, I can actually hurt another. Now, I know I've hurt people. We all have. But the opportunity exists for me to know this. It's important to get as clear as we can about what we're talking about, which isn't a single shot. It's a over and over and over. And I may have some slightly unfortunate news for you until I die. Getting clear requires mindfulness and presence and empathy and the practice that is the most difficult to do, forgiveness. Forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of others, asking for forgiveness of what I have done, which is really hard. Because sometimes we don't think or know that we've done something. So when someone comes and says, you did this, and you go, well, wait a minute, no, I didn't. I've right away stopped and ignored a story that someone's come to me that is really important for me to hear, whether I did it or not. Anecdotal information about diversity is dangerous. Well, I just feel that way. Or my one news source that teaches me that. These are things that are dangerous only because when we choose to learn about diversity from what I would say is very limited sources, we can cause harm. We can. And it's why the invitation, we are really not practicing oneness unless we can step deeper into understanding the things that I am unconscious to. Even when I do step on someone, even when I've been stepped on, empathy and forgiveness are part of the journey on both sides. Sometimes I can't get it on both sides, but I don't necessarily need the other person to be aware for me to forgive. So let's just look around in the room for just a moment and see what we would call diversity. There's some diversity in the room for sure. But I want you to think about this. You're going to hear some terms in AIF that if you've never heard them before, you're probably going to be disturbed and frustrated. Good for you. That's what we do in spiritual community. We disturb. We say we comfort those that are uncomfortable, and we create an uncomfortable situation for those that are way too comfortable. And believe me, that happens like every day of my life as I'm studying this philosophy. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Or what have I been doing? Or how am I contributing to this? But I want you to take a test. Now, for those of you that love tests, I just want a show of hands if you love tests. I knew there was a few of you in the room. I swear I did not like you in school. Now, for those of you that don't like tests, which I have this like sort of love-hate relationship with tests. You know, I was a very conscious student and I wanted to do well. So when I didn't do well, I hated tests. And when I did do well, I was running down the hallway screaming and celebrating. For those of you that are those perfectionists, I want you to take that perfectionist side of you and just kind of put it right here. Can you do that? And if you think that this is a matter of doing well in this test or not doing well, it's not that kind of test. All right. So I'm going to give you a little test on white privilege. Are you ready? Well, it's not just white privilege. It's privilege, which is a really triggering word for some folks. So I want you to just take the trigger and just for a moment, just go, okay, I'm triggered. Can you do that? Can you just say, okay, I'm triggered? And I'm just going to put it right here. Now, check off in your mind all the statements that apply to you. Okay? First of all, I'm white. Check. That's for me. Okay? I have never been discriminated against because of my skin color. Well, there's another check, right? I have never been the only person of my race in a room. That's probably a big old check, right? I have never been mocked for my accent. I have never been told I'm attractive for my race. Funny, happens. I have never been a victim of violence because of my race. I have never been a victim of violence because of my sexual orientation. I have never been called a racial slur. I have never been told I sound white. And I'm just going to pause on that. 100% of the time when I'm on the phone, I get sir. You do too, Des? You and me we're just going out afterwards and having a cocktail for sure. The interesting thing about that is when salespeople come on phone calls, they automatically make assumptions. And I get tired oftentimes of saying, I'm not a sir. Thank you, sir. I'm not a sir. Thank you, sir. What I'm saying is when we're that unconscious, first of all, you lost my cell. But secondly, you've probably lost my business to your company. Why? Because there's not a consciousness in that call that says that I matter. How many folks feel that way sometimes, right? As a stranger, you've never been asked to touch your hair or asked if it was real. Yes, that happens. I am heterosexual. I have never lied about my sexuality. I have never had to come out. I've never doubted my parents' acceptance of my sexuality. I have never been called a fag. I have never been called a dyke. I have never been called a fairy or any other derogatory term. I have never tried to hide my sexuality. I am always comfortable with public displays of affection with my partner in public. I've never pretended to be just friends with my significant other. I have never been ostracized by my religion for my sexual orientation. I have never been told I would burn in hell for my sexual orientation. I have never been told that my sexuality is just a phase. Just wait till you're older, then you'll know. I've never been violently threatened for my race, my sexual orientation, or any part of me. I feel comfortable in the gender I was born as. I still identify as the gender I was born in. I have never tried to change my gender. I have never been denied an opportunity because of my gender. I make more money than my professional counterparts of a different gender. I have never felt unsafe because of my gender. I have never been catcalled. I have never been sexually harassed or assaulted. You see what privilege might be. It's slightly different. In some cases, privilege, every one of us experience privilege in some way. And a lot of us are privileged without knowing it because we think, let's just say, for example, I grew up in a traumatized home. So I don't have privilege. We're not talking about trauma. We're just talking about diversity, and it's different. We're talking about a part of you that is visible or becomes visible because of something you say that people assume something about you because of that identifier of you, whether it be race, gender, sexual orientation, ability. The stories and beliefs that I live with around differences are the things that I get to look at. They're the things I get to consider. Because anyone in this room that thinks that they have nothing to learn about diversity, we're in the wrong community, right? And what happens in the world, when I think about True Colors and the song and the fact there are people in the world that do not show up as who they are for fear of being ostracized, assaulted, reduced, excluded. And I'm not talking about the person that walks in the room that we're afraid of violence or whatever that is. Oftentimes we even apply whether someone will be violent or not based upon a particular part of who they are. Because we do what Ernest Holmes calls, we assign what we call race consciousness, which is this overall generalization of a group. And anytime I generalize a group, I'm harming myself and that group, everyone. Sameness is not what we're focused on. It's diversity. We want to make sure we see that diversity. If we do not see the diversity, the differences in one another, then I will not be conscious to what your journey will be. You are not the same as me. You cannot understand my journey, nor can I understand yours. But I can be present for that journey. I can be an ally in that journey. If I am defensive, then I cannot be an ally. If I can be curious, if I can have that healthy, beautiful curiosity that this principle, that this philosophy invites us to have, then I can create a world that works for everyone. But as long as I think that I am not part of the problem or the challenge, then I cannot help. I cannot be. I cannot explore and invite the diversity that we talk about that we want. Ernest Holmes said, "For all you must do is to look about in nature, and you will find that while everything comes from one source, everything bears the stamp of a unique individuality. The great lesson that life is trying to teach us is that we are rooted in God, all of us. But each is an individualized center in the divine being, unity at the center, variety at the circumference. But unity does not mean uniformity. If we continue to just make each other safe so we keep coming back, we're missing the point." we're missing out on an opportunity to grow in a way that can only be provided, like Yellowstone, which everyone is at the table. Unity does not mean uniformity. Unity means a oneness of purpose. Unity means what is best and safe for the majority, hold on, without losing sight of each member of that majority and each location in it. This fly loves me. I'm so sweet. Faith without works is dead. Let me put that in diversity terms. Diversity without inclusion is dead. Diversity without inclusion. You cannot talk about diversity without acting. And that part of that acting is the consciousness that I bring, the awareness that I bring, not perfect. By the way, you perfectionists who just thought you just screwed up on that test. When we arrive, we're probably not here. It is the objective of life to learn more and more about the blind spots that I have, about the places in life that I am just adamant I'm right. I'm so right, and I don't like being wrong. Don't you? My perfectionist person, that part of me, does not like to be wrong, and it doesn't like to harm, and it doesn't like to do some of the things that I'm sure I'm probably doing. But what's really great about the philosophy we practice is it invites us to open up to I know what I know when I know it, which means I don't know a lot, by the way. But I come to know more and more and more about the things that I can look at. We should not only pray, as Ernest said, we should act, each contributing the best she or he or they has to the common purpose, each willing to make any sacrifice necessary, not a sacrifice reluctantly made. Well, okay, I'll do it. Everybody else is doing it, I'll do it. No, not that one. But as one who offers all he, she, or they have for two great purposes. One, in a certain sense, we all desire self-preservation, but the other in the greater sense that there can be no individual self-preservation without the preservation of all. Save yourself, that's who you end up with. That alone scares me. What is diversity asking us to do? Tracy Brown, the author of the book, she says, diversity is not the problem. It is the stories we tell about diversity that is the problem. It's the story in my head of my participation and my effort and what I need to do and let go, and it's all of that. It's also stories that it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's uncomfortable. By the way, in your AIF groups, it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm just going to claim that. It's going to be uncomfortable. It should be. Because you get to look at you and me. We get to look at each other, but in a place, if we want, of grace, which is I will listen and I will hear what is being spoken so that I can hear the journey of another. Seek to understand first. Seek to understand. I went to my 41st high school reunion this last weekend. Why 41? Well, that's a long story. Small town. We just do reunions every year until everybody goes to one. In attending it, I thought of my own experience growing up in this mining town. Anybody grow up in a mining town? My sister. I love that. Didn't see that coming. In the mining town where I grew up, in my home, there was considerable abuse and trauma. And it's really easy to think you're the only one going through it. It really is. And especially, I think children that have been traumatized have a reduced sense of empathy. By the way, empathy must be learned. You are not born with it. So it's what we get to learn. I found myself listening to others while I was there. I'm tearing up because I got to hear these stories of abuse that were happening in most of the homes that I was completely unaware of. And I had a theory that in mining towns, that abuse is probably higher than other towns because of the kind of sort of folks that get attracted to it. It's a place you can hide. It's easy to come in if you're a felon. And I'm not saying that a felon makes you anything, but there's a tendency for that to come in. We had Hell's Angels as if they were, your neighbor next door. We had gang members from the surrounding towns. We had a host of folks in that town. And yet, in some respects, I felt really safe in my home of trauma. So as I was this weekend and I was listening to these stories, I was overcome by the sense of what others went through. And I found this, that I had a bias that it was only me. I had a bias that it was only my family. I had a bias that probably no one had my journey. What was interesting is others had a bias that we looked like the perfect family. We weren't. We looked good on the outside. You only had to look across. And there was a couple of comments. I remember a neighbor up the street said, I knew you guys lived in the garage. But, my dad was beating me up every day. So, I thought, those were the conversations I had. Everyone definitely has challenges. Everyone definitely has a story. And the opportunity that we could come together here to talk about diversity is to listen and pay attention to where my bias is. Where are the things what are the things I'm not looking at? What are the things I'm not wanting to look at? That's the best one. When we say that I'm not part of the problem, I'm not, and nor do I have biases, already we've shut the door on learning. We've already shut the door. So the invitation during AIF, which, by the way, we call it adventure. When you hike Yellowstone, it isn't easy, right? Adventure means that you're going to go through some difficult things and things you don't want to look at and things someone else doesn't want to look at. So how can we do this together in community? It's a deeply sacred gift for someone to reflect back to you how you're showing up in the world and to help you become more evolved. When someone reflects back to you something you've done in these experiences, the opportunity exists for you to stop and go, let me look at that. Or, oh, no. Diversity is no different issue than if you're talking about any other spiritual principle. They're all the same. It applies to all or it doesn't. We know that as being in this philosophy. Forgiveness is a big part of that process. So I'm going to ask you a question, again, interactive part of my talk, and then I'm going to end it. Because I know I've got some folks in the room going, when is she done? What country is the number one country or the country that has the most heart attacks? Okay, you're close. Susan Calic knows. Susan, which one? Russia. How come you know that? Thank you. Love honesty. Here's how it goes. Right now, it's Russia, it's India, and it's the US. We're the top three. And what they're saying, although I'm going to give India an exception because I haven't looked deep enough there, is that part of what the study is showing is that when we don't practice forgiveness, we set ourselves up for a literal heart attack. Forgiveness is a way, spiritually, to reduce your chances of a heart attack. Who knew? Sorry, folks. Sorry about that. Desmond Tutu said this: failure to forgive can lead to heart disease. Studies have found that the act of forgiveness can reap huge rewards for your health, lowering the risk of heart attack, and improving your sleep and a whole host of things. Now, here's why. On the spiritual realm, truth and reconciliation are processes that include forgiveness, by the way. And because they're processes, they're ongoing. We will have to forgive every day the rest of our lives. We will have to be forgiven every day the rest of our lives. In a place where racism continues or where the harm continues, we are still engaging in processes. Racism has changed. It's not the same in the 50s as it is today. It is more silent, it is more implicit, it is quiet often. But the one that knows it is the one it's targeted to. It begins, this forgiveness, this reconciliation, it begins with telling the story. You can't get to forgiveness without confronting the reality. And you must name the hurt. We must hear the hurt. We must be a container for that hurt. We must be willing to look at ourselves so we know where we hurt. Hurt people hurt people. Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you. Forgiveness isn't cheap. And it isn't a cheap, okay, everyone, let's just forgive and forget. No, you can't. You actually have to remember in order to forgive. Mindfulness and presence, empathy, forgiveness. These are 4 things I want you to take with you as you go into AIF. If you haven't signed up for AIF because you don't think you're ready, okay. Get the book anyway. Do the work anyway. We get to do it wherever we're at. Grace is provided, but to do nothing. That's not the call. Let us pray. As we come together with diversity as the spiritual principle, that principle that speaks of the oneness and unity that is God, not sameness, diversity. It's the divine uniqueness of all of creation. And that divine uniqueness must be balanced in order for it to be in the image of God. Knowing that the image of God exists as all creation, I acknowledge that within each one of us. Each one of us have that divine spark, that knowing, that opportunity, that pull, that urge, that invitation to open at the top. So as I anchor this idea of diversity in this beautiful space of communities, knowing that the divine community is all of creation, I just know that as we walk through this journey as spiritual beings, humans having that spiritual experience, knowing that our humanity as well as our spirituality is one. It includes it all. So I just anchor for these next 4 weeks of study. Surrender, my favorite 4-letter word. Peace, grace for myself and others. Truth, opening to a bigger truth. Empathy, knowing that it's not just my journey, but another's. Mindfulness, to be present. And each day to forgive myself and others. And to allow this beautiful divine practice to speak as itself. So in that vein, knowing that God is all there is, knowing that the words I've spoken correspond, and that's what the law does, is corresponds. It's action back to our beliefs. I just let this go, and I let God, and so it is. Amen.
looking glass. 7 years of bad luck, the good things in your past. You believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. A superstition ain't the way. Every superstition, wash your face and hands. So rid me of the problem, do all that you can. Keep me in a daydream, keep me going strong. You don't wanna save me, 'cause that is my song. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me hear you sing it. When you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition ain't the way. Namaste. Seal Beach. How's everybody feeling right now? Dance. Every superstition, there's nothing more to say. There is superstition, the devil's on his way. 13-month-old baby broke the looking glass. Well, 7 years of bad luck, the good things in your past. Yeah. All right, everybody, sing along. Here we go. When you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. Yeah. A superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way. Superstition ain't the way.
What fun, what fun. Thank you, thank you. All right, what a wonderful service we've had today. And now we come to the part where we can give back where we've been spiritually fed. We don't pass the basket yet, but there are metal baskets sitting on little stools throughout the sanctuary. We take cash, we take credit cards, and if you look, we'll get a little thing up there that tells you you can go online and give. We take cash too. Yeah. And we have little green cards in there. If you want to do credit card, you can do that. Or if you want to go online, you can do that. We do it all. It's all good. And it's all an opportunity to give back where I've been spiritually fed, which is, wow, today has been just a feast. So let's say our blessing. Can we get our blessing up there? We've got John running back and forth. All right, say it with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prospered. Thank you, God. All right. Now, I'd like to, this time, take an opportunity to invite all the CSL ministers and the CSL practitioners, whether you're from Seal Beach or whatever, not whatever, Seal Beach or Namaste. I love it. No, Namaste is our brothers and sisters. And we are so grateful to have you all here. This is part of the collaboration, is being together, bringing all of this, and all the practitioners. Doesn't matter where you're from, we're there to pray with you. So, and we will be available after service. And so I think we're ready for the children. We're going a little late. We apologize, but this has been too great. We had to enjoy the whole thing. So we'll bring the kids in, and I'm proud to say that we have a youth program under the direction of Wenda, and they are experiencing the same kinds of things that we're talking about up here, and so it's all yours. We're using the podium today, I think.
Thank you, Marjorie. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yes. I am liking this beautiful sea of purple and all these beautiful faces. Welcome, everybody. Oh my gosh, it's so good to see everybody. So my name is Wenda. I'm the youth director here. And I think that I accidentally manifested no children coming today. Our youth program has actually been growing, and we've had quite a few kids coming. But I really, really, really wanted to be in this service because I was so excited to listen to Reverend Bobby and Kong and Tina and Des. Oh my gosh. And so I think I accidentally manifested no kids. But I wanted to bring up my wonderful volunteers. This is Mackenzie and this is Ian. And they are so dedicated with the children. They show up every week, and it's just absolutely incredible. And today, we had just some amazing things prepared for the kids, and so now we have amazing things planned for the kids next week. So that's a beautiful thing, so I can focus on AIF. And we were going to share Dale, our bearded dragon, with the kids today. It's a bearded dragon. So, and I just want to say really quick that in honor of just showing up how we are, I have no purple in my wardrobe. In fact, I have sadly no color in my wardrobe, and so I borrowed this T-shirt and had to wear it inside out because it's a little inappropriate for the children. If you consider a cat smoking a bong inappropriate, then it's a little. We don't even. It just ended up in her closet. We don't even know where it came from. But this is, So come, join the community. Come as you are. Come inside out. Even if you're feeling inside out, upside down, just show up. I feel fear and trepidation and, like Reverend Bobby was saying, excitement. I feel all those emotions going into this AIF. Yes, I am privileged, and, I need to not, my work is to not feel guilty about that, and, and to be grateful for the life that I've been blessed to live, and also just to be understanding and open myself to learning all there is to learn from all the people that we get to experience. So I really hope everybody shows up and joins. And I just real quick, since a lot of people are here for the first time, so we do have a thriving youth program here. See them all running around? See them? Calm down, kids. And it's for all ages. We have starting at 1 year old, and we go all the way up through the teens. So if anybody from Namaste or anybody listening, bring your kids out. We follow the same themes that we do here in the church. So today we were going to talk about the inclusion of a spider that wanted to be a pet for the little kids. So we were discussing inclusion also, but we'll do that next week. So that's it from all the imaginary kiddos that blessed me and us today to be in the service.
And just to remind you, purple was this week. Next week is blue. So look in your closet, see what you can find blue. Next week we're going to come all dressed in blue, and I think Pam wants to say something.
I was going to tell you, but I'll say it. I was supposed to be watching who was parked behind who, and Reverend Bobby got me so distracted. It's all your fault. That I missed some. My husband and Jim were out there most of the time. I said, go ahead and sit down. I got it. I didn't get it. So if you're parked, like if you were one of the last ones to come in, you could be parked in back of somebody that's trying to get out, especially over here because you got people in front of you and back of you. So just know, if you came in a little late, I messed up.
And now I have a solution. I have a solution because when we're finished here, we've got food, we've got fellowship. I encourage you to stay and chat. And if somebody wants to get out, if they'll give me or Pam the license number or a description of the car, we'll make a little announcement and say, we need you to move the car. And we'll do that. So feel free to stay, even if you're parked at the very back, all right? So I'm going to bring Eileen up because we're going to, let's see, which do we do first? We do the benediction first, yes. So it's up there. And namaste, I've been there. You know this one. Bobby, do you want to do it? Yeah. All right. She does it cool.
All right, if you're able, please stand. Are you ready? Yeah. All right. You ready, Des? So I have a question for you because there's a lot about life that we need to know. So tell me something about life.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Hold on. Go, do it. Something. Help me. Yeah, I know. What's it called?
It's this thing called life.
Where is it?
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I do.
You're going too fast. Go ahead. Give me a little something. Yeah, I want something right now. Is life just like sitting here, or is life exclusive? Hold on.
Life is all that I do.
You guys are good. Now, what do I do with it?
I give thanks for it and I accept it.
Just the way I want? No?
Just the way it is.
And?
Just the way it is not.
Now, how many of you practice gratitude? All right, well, let's put it on steroids. Okay? So I want you to wiggle your toes, even if you're in tight shoes. I want you to feel gratitude starting with those toes and moving up through your calves, through your thighs, through all your favorite parts, thank you, Nikki, into your torso, into your shoulders, up through your neck, and just before it explodes, I want you to feel that gratitude right at the top of your head, and we're going to blow the lid off with it by saying,
Thank you.
Reverend Bobby does that better than anybody
I am
else.
alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive, yo, alive with the Spirit of God. I am 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 alive, yo, alive with the Spirit of God. Oh, you guys didn't want to stop.
Happy Sunday, everybody. We'll see you next week.